Unemployment.
Unemployment?
Yeah.
You guys worried about that?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I literally just had a friend post like 10 minutes ago saying that she needs help.
What'd she post?
On LinkedIn. She was like,
what'd she post?
She was like, oh, you know, I'm one of those people that graduated at a bad time.
So what to do if you graduated at a bad time? Like now?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yep. Is it a bad time though?
Yeah, because like, you know, especially with lockdown and all that, and we're still not fully recovered and probably won't be for a extended period of time. So I think there's just so much uncertainty. So, certainly from the way I see it with businesses and all that.
Yep.
Do you go for, can they afford it? Because I know for a fact that, you know, for example, Qantas, I've had, you know, a couple of friends in Qantas, they've had their graduate programs cut because they simply can't afford it. And there's just, like I said, I bring it back to that uncertainty. There's just so much cloud and so much uncertainty in both the business and obviously with graduates trying to find a job. So I think there's, you know, a loss of direction in what you should do and where you should be going when you hit that point.
So what to do if you what to do if you're someone who's just graduated? What to do if you are someone who's got uncertainty about like what the future looks like? What to do if, you know, you've had a graduate program card or you've just finished uni or you're in the process of finishing uni, like, you know, ordinarily under normal circumstances, you know, go hang out with your friends, do a bit of partying, finally get around to maybe looking for some jobs, to do an internship like some of these guys here are doing. That's normal circumstances. So we're not in normal circumstances, so what should we do about it? The one thing I want to remind everybody is that under normal circumstances, fundamentally, it is more likely that you will all still be alive in 60 years' time than dead. So let's start there. So we've got to start at the fact that, okay, we're gonna, you know, the goal is to have like an average lifespan. Now that in that many years, that's obviously going to change. The population is aging, so every year there's more people over 100 years old. When I was just as I hit my 20s, it was rare for there to be anybody that was 100 years old. Now I'm 45, there's people that are 100 years old everywhere. In fact, you're hearing about people that are 103, 104, 105 years old. You know, it's like they're just punching out another birthday every year. And you're like, what is going on? You know? And like some lady the other day, she's like 90 or 95 or something like that, and she's still playing tennis and driving a car and getting out and about, still lucid. She's still got a good 20 years in her. So she's going to be 115, 120 years old. So I want everybody to just be mindful of that, because then what we're actually talking about is what should we do for the next 12 months? What should we do with ourselves for the next 12 months? So we got to live somewhere. We got to live somewhere. We got to feed ourselves. Then we got to keep ourselves occupied. Then we got to do something meaningful, you know. And you can put the science behind that, which is the philosophy behind that, which is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. But so, are you worried about where you're going to live in the next 12 months? Maybe it's not where you want to live, but have you got somewhere to live? At the moment, you've got somewhere to live.
Yeah.
So I think some of the changes will be that there's going to be a bit more crowdfunding of houses. So there's more people living together than before, as people get together and flatting with each other, or families. And if you go back and do some research about how did people survive and thrive in the Great Depression, is a really good example. Like, you can listen to me bang on about all my ideas, but go back and look at history. Who survived and thrived through the Great Depression? So then, even if we go into a depression or we don't go into a depression, at least you're setting yourself up with some information about focusing on the people that survived and thrived. So we've had this sort of preconceived idea that we finish uni, we finish college, finish school. Some people have obviously lost their employment opportunities, and then the employment opportunity, we get some work that gives us an opportunity to sort of stand our own 2 feet, go on. Our ego wants us to go and live by ourselves. Have our own place, all that kind of stuff. Okay, I get some of that's changing, but if we focused on how we can have fun and how we can do great things, and less about that, then we can still survive. So it's if we can change those expectations and focus on the things that we enjoy doing. So I would suggest write a list of the things that you like doing on a weekly basis. what does a really great week look like? Get through this week, get through the next week, get through the week after that. Then say, okay, within the limitations of what I've got, okay, I can't go and have my gap year overseas. This particular country, so this is applicable to Australians and even to people applicable in North America, there are some amazing places to go, but people think that we need to go overseas. International travel has been ridiculously too cheap for everybody, and so automatically people are just like, oh, this is excellent, I'm going to go overseas. It's no different. Like, it's just dirt and rocks and trees, and they're different kinds of trees, and it's still salt water if you're near the ocean, and it's still sand if you're at the beach. The beach might be a different colour, and maybe they speak a different language, and maybe they eat different food, but you can still speak the different languages, you can eat the different food. Okay, I would have said we've got the best beaches in the world here anyway, so don't go overseas to go to the beach. And so I think right now, in terms of that kind of stuff which leads to it, okay, what do we do about work? What do we do about our career? I think from that perspective, there is still a huge amount of opportunities. And if you use LinkedIn as an example, and that's what we're talking about in the live stream this morning, that I think now more than ever, we've got an even better opportunity, that opportunities will be served to the people that are willing to go and chase those opportunities. We've just come out of a period of ridiculous prosperity in the economy, like overinflated prosperity. We've come out of a time when there was an over balance between the numbers of jobs versus the numbers of people, and there was not enough people to fill the jobs. And so what that meant was that employers, like when you're trying to find team members, it was really hard because you were competing. And to a certain extent, even if I look at lots of businesses and I look at the financials, everybody was paying too much. And so businesses weren't viable. So what's happened now is, I think that it's been almost one of the ultimate shakeouts in terms of shaking out talent. So if you've got talent, if you focus on your skills and you focus on what your strengths are and you work on improving your weaknesses and keep improving your strengths, and you've got talent and you also have a desire to do a particular job. So if you've got talent for a particular job, before that, you've come out of college. If you've got a desire to do a particular job and you work on your talent to improve your skills, you've got a better opportunity now than ever before, because the lazy people could get good jobs. And so, yeah, I get it. Lazy people it's not going to be easy for them to get good jobs. But for people who are passionate and motivated and say, hey, I'm really excited, I want to go get this job, it's now more than ever. Never in history have we been able to direct message people. So professional people that you want to work for anyway are on LinkedIn. You can search companies on LinkedIn. I really wouldn't want to work for a company that's not on LinkedIn anyway, because it means that they're disorganized, they're more likely to fail. Companies that are on LinkedIn and are on social media and are on Instagram and are on Facebook are more likely to succeed. So they're safer bets, because they're trying to manage failure by going all in on marketing and all in on business development and all in on improving their products and services. So I'd like to educate people that have just finished college, that have are starting their career, to actually use social media to do your due diligence. Because I couldn't do that. I had absolutely no idea who I was going to work for, apart from maybe a word of mouth referral and an interview in the past. And I can remember my second big corporate job, I had to ask them who owns the company, because I had come from small and family business, and you knew the owner of the company, you knew who it was. And they said, we don't know who owns the company. We're just here in corporate world. Like, literally on the second day I said, who owns the company? They're like, we've got no idea. And I asked the question consistently for 2 weeks and I didn't get an answer. It wasn't even publicly listed. Like, no one could say who we were working for. Just they said the name of the company and who your boss was. I asked my boss, who owns us? No idea. I couldn't get to the boss above him. So I think now more than ever, you've got an opportunity to do searches on LinkedIn, to do searches on Instagram, to do your due diligence, to use social media to find people, and more importantly, reach out to people. And it's not necessarily that you're reaching out on social media all the way to Bill Gates. Although if you were persistent enough and you wanted to meet Bill Gates, I guarantee you could make that happen. Like, if you were persistent and you really thought about it and you set your mind to it on a long enough timeline, I guarantee it'll happen in your life, if that's your goal. And so now more than ever, we've got those opportunities. So what does that look like? Think about something that you'd like to learn or do because you've just finished studying. like what you did. Put it out, to the universe. Start talking to people about it. Talk to your friends about it. Talk to any adults that you know about it. Any people with careers about it. Those are the things I'd like to learn and go and experience, because that is called putting it out to the universe. Like, without getting all fluffy, putting it out to the universe is just like starting to talk to people. I really want to learn this and I really want to investigate that. The second thing you do is get on YouTube and start searching those terms related to what that is. And then you can start to get on some of the other social channels like LinkedIn and search. Once you learn from people on YouTube, then you can go onto LinkedIn and you can do a deeper search. Then you're going to start identifying companies that do that work or people that do that work. And somebody who's got 200 or 300 or 400 followers on LinkedIn or connections, which you can see publicly, is more likely to respond and is often probably a better mentor in the beginning, because most people in leadership and management positions in companies, all they do all day is help people. And so helping an extra person with some mentoring, often you're stroking their ego anyway, because of course I'm helpful. Like, I have not come across somebody who is in a team leader, supervisor, manager, leadership position that isn't a person that is helpful, because you can't get to those positions without being helpful. So in terms of like, okay, it's not going to be, like in terms of actually getting to a point where you're earning good money, that's not going to happen as fast as it used to, unless you put more energy into it. So if you want it to happen as fast as it used to, with the expectations that you had going into uni, it's going to take more work and more attention and more focus than it did for the people 2 years ago. But it is absolutely achievable. What
about for those, like, let's say, we talk about those final years, those ones graduating then. What about those ones who've seen this happen, and let's say that they've got like another year and a half under their belt? I mean, we don't know when this is going to fully recover, when businesses are going to open up these graduate programs again. What should they do the same thing, obviously, and prepare yourself, but anything extra that they should be doing?
Start now. Like, I think if I think back to like going to uni and like I did 5 years. So I did 2-year college diploma and then 3 years a Bachelor of Applied Science, an undergraduate degree. I wasted my time at uni carrying bricks. I got super fit, like so fit it was ridiculous, and so tanned it wasn't funny. And I've got olive skin. And I had a great time. Super fit, beers in the afternoon, carrying bricks, going to uni. I had 5 years and I just partied for 5 years, and it was absolutely fantastic. I wasted those 5 years. It put a 5-year handicap on my career. So it did teach me, I don't deny that it taught me a heap about it, and it was a lot of fun, but what it did do was I wasted time. So this is what I was saying to you earlier in the week. Like, let's be really mindful. Working in a pub, pulling beers at the moment, it is really good, but dump that cash into your uni debt. And that's why you're going to do it. Do it or don't do it. We had that conversation. But if you are going to do it, let's tie that activity to a goal, which is to pay off your uni debt.
Make it relevant.
Make it real, right? And then you go, actually, I'm going to live this hustle and I'm going to live this adversity right now. It's not super adverse, but this is why I'm doing it. And so for the people that have got 18 months to go or a year to go, the people that are, maybe some of the members of your society, that like now is the time to actually, if I'm going to go and earn an income, or if I'm going to do anything with my week, now more than ever, if you've got free time, do stuff like we're doing here with internships. It's a great opportunity. Try to get close to people who are doing the kinds of things that you want to do. Okay, here's an example. If you're going to work in a bar that's near a lawyer's office. Don't work in a bar at Manly, or by the beach. Go work in the bar near the lawyer's office, because the lawyers come down, and as you're serving lawyers, you say, actually, I really want to get into law, I really want to get into finance, I really want to get into banking. Now, I know most of those offices are empty right now, and they're only at like 7%, but they're still there. Like, they're all, okay, so I'm going to work in a restaurant, and I'm going to go try to get into a premium restaurant where I'm more likely to be meeting regulars. What are the suburbs that they live in? And they're all working from home. They all want to get out of the house in the morning. They all go buy a coffee. Go be a barista at a coffee shop in a high-end suburb, so you can be near the people and start meeting. And it's not what you know, it's who you know. And it's not just what you know, it's not who you know, it's who knows you, if that makes sense. So I think those are the kinds of things that if you can really think smart. And look, not everybody's going to hear this, and that's really unfortunate, because that's really great advice for people, and I wish someone had given me that advice, which was stop mucking around, go get a role in the area. Unfortunately, I also didn't choose the right area of study. And, you know, we were having a conversation earlier today about like pivoting and constantly saying, right, I'm going to adopt that subject and I'm going to move into this subject, and there's been some changes. I think that's really good. I wish I'd done that, because I like stuck it out and I went to the end of a degree that ask me anything you want to know about environmental sustainability, because I've studied it. Am I working in it? No. We've got some customers that do it, but not really. And I stuck it out because I wasn't going to be one of those people that like moved, but that was the wrong thing to do. So, you know, I think that making the decision to pivot, I think making the decision to continue is a good thing, but making the decision to pivot is even more intelligent, because you're starting to actually go, well, if I do the things that I like doing, then it's not going to be any effort. Does that help?
Yeah, for sure.
A lot of people, like, I put a post up and I didn't get anything, put another one up. Like, put another one up, keep putting them up. Like, you know what I'm like in terms of persistent. And you know, really, and I know I've been saying this word a lot, and I, you know, I can't steal all the fame for this particular word, but perpetuity is persistence. And, you know, if you want to go to the Olympics, so think about what an athlete needs to do. If I'm sitting here saying I want to go to the Olympics as a sprinter, and initially people are going to like laugh at me and go, you're not really a sprinter, but then I'm going to start running, and then I'm going to get faster, and then I'm going to do a training plan, then I'm going to get some coaching, then I'm going to change my diet, and then a year later I'm running a bit faster. You know, and maybe I don't get to the Olympics, but I'm certainly a better runner than I was today. So in terms of that person putting the post up, that's an excellent start. I congratulate that person for putting that post up. Put another one up. What's the topic that they like talking about? Like, a lot of people forget that getting a job is actually swapping something for the money. Yep. And yes, in your first job, maybe you're going there to learn, but you do actually have to give something. It's a return on investment. It's like going to the supermarket and buying milk. $2, 2 litres of milk, or whatever, $4, whatever. So with someone putting up posts who's unemployed, put up posts about what you would be doing for your job. So that someone like me, who then says, hey, I've got a vacancy, we're looking, as employers, we're looking even harder now at people than we ever have, and we're looking for samples of work, because it's harder to take the risk. It's an experiment. You know, we budget for experimentation. At any point in time, we're running, you know, $20,000 to $40,000 through our budget of experiments, which is new people that have just started, because it takes 3 to 6 months for people to come up to speed. Up to speed means that I'm getting fair exchange for my money. So it's unfair exchange for the first 6 months. Throwing money, you're learning. Throwing money, you're learning. And so what we're starting to do is start to say, okay, well, how do we hedge our bets? How do I bring somebody on who is a less of a risk? Because 6 months down the track, didn't get anything. Okay, that's a failed experiment. I'm really unfortunate it didn't work out. You need to leave. The next person comes in. And so that sucks. Businesses right now don't have as much free money to actually be able to do that. And so we do things like what we're doing here with, say, our intern program, for example. Yes, we want to give back to the community, but at the same time, we want to scout the community for talent. And so for us, it's a scouting program. You're a classic example of that. You've come through that scouting program. So for us, for me to recruit for this role, a commercial recruiter could cost me anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000. So for the small impact of helping people, and then getting to meet people and seeing whether people fit the culture and those kinds of things, and people getting into the groove, for us, we basically save that. So we start by that, because once you pay your 20 grand for your recruitment, and I'm recruiting at the moment for a sales coordinator role, and I'm recruiting for we're going to start recruiting for another account manager. That's going to cost me, I'm not going to get much change out of $40,000. The person hasn't even started yet, and I've spent 40 grand. And then they start 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days reading lots of stuff. So 40 grand's handed out. They get paid for their first week. Second week, read a bit of stuff, talk to a few people. Got paid for the second week. Third week, you know, talk to a couple of customers, meet a few more people, learn a bit more. Fourth week, fifth week, sixth week, maybe they do a little bit of work. But we've still invested cash for 6 weeks. So it's really important, I think, to get that message across, which is why I'm saying it, and we're recording this, so that people can understand that the work I'm doing. So when you say you guys are, funny thing that 3 people here pull beers, which I think is classic, but it's a really great example right now is to go, does anyone else pull beers? But you guys are paid X amount of dollars an hour, what, 30 bucks an hour, say, for example, or is it more than that sometimes?
Sometimes.
There you go.
Yeah.
There again, give or take. So you're paid 30 bucks an hour to take how much cash over the counter? So the $30 an hour plus the cost that they buy the beer for, plus the cost to wash the glasses, plus the cost to clean up, plus the cost to run the kitchen, plus the whatever, how much money per hour comes over the counter? So it's costing 50 bucks an hour to just have the counter open, and then we got to bring in probably 400 bucks an hour to actually cover that, because we've got to cover the other costs, the rent, the cash register, all that kind of stuff. So a good example is a plate with food. So when you're serving food, say it's a burger or whatever, you can divide that up. So you can say the food on the plate, if we were to go to the supermarket and buy it, we could buy the bun, the patty, the lettuce, the special sauce, the French fries, the gherkins, the pickles, whatever, for this gourmet burger. We could go buy all that for $5, but we got to pay 20 bucks for it in the bar. The burgers are 20 bucks. Why are they $20? Because the kitchen, to rent the kitchen for the week, costs $15,000. To pay someone to carry the plate out to the table costs 50 bucks an hour or 30 bucks an hour. The cost to pay the guy to cook it was another 30 bucks an hour. And so technically the food cost, if you use hospitality formula, should be somewhere in the vicinity of 20 to 22%. The labour cost should be about 22%. Those are our costs of goods sold. And then the rest is our overhead costs. So, in hospitality is really good because almost you're like, we're looking for someone in experience. Can you serve tables? Yes, I can. Maybe they stumble a bit for their first shift, but their second and third shifts, they sort of, they're out there and they're collecting glasses or whatever, and then they graduate to supervisor, whatever that might be. So same, it's a bit fuzzy in business. It's not as clear as it is in hospitality. So out in the corporate world like this, it's a little bit fuzzier, and we've got to be a little bit more controlled about what we're doing. But what I want people to understand is, back to your case study of your person putting up the post, is to say, focus on what information, what decisions, what content, what production you're going to be doing when you go to that role, and start putting out posts about that. Because if I put up that I'm going to recruit for a role, and I see that you're actually saying what you're going to do in the role that you're going to take, even though it's going to be generic, that's going to be really helpful. And that's going to set you completely apart from any other candidate.
What about company seeing? So you've got photos and whatnot, and text and that
Yep.
kind of thing. But how important is putting yourself out there? You said,
Very important.
But in terms of video content, of showing your face and being out there.
I think it's good to start with what you're comfortable doing, like copyright, creative, analytics. So I really like doing analytics, and you might do a little post about dashboards as you learn about it. Might do copyright, might do some creative work. Like, these are some of the pictures of things that I've done. Your face is not necessarily as critical, but the work that you're going to produce, because it's about what benefit are you going to bring to that person. The benefit that you're going to bring to me is that I don't have time to do the analytics. So you guys will look at the numbers and the analytics, and that's the benefit I'm going to get. So what your face looks like, I know it's handsome, but it doesn't actually matter. Does that make sense? Yeah. So I think, but here's the point. I've got a question for you. When you say put yourself out there,
yep.
Who for?
Potential hirers.
Correct. Yeah. So instead of going potential hirers, how about we actually target market? You ever heard of target marketing? Let's target the potential hirer. Let's do some searching and due diligence and say, that's the company I want to potentially hire me. And build a list of 20 companies. Then jump on LinkedIn and search for all of the managers at those companies. Try and find the person who's most likely to be the manager of the role that you want to go for. And then produce the content for them. And you know what's cool about LinkedIn? You can direct message them. And if you do enough direct messages, you'll get through to somebody, and then they'll give you some feedback. And you can say, hey, I just produced this. Would you find this kind of thing helpful? Because I'm trying to make myself really valuable for somebody who might be a prospective employer, and I just want to work out what you guys value. What are you looking for in the people that you're looking for to join your team? And if you use my brother over there as an example, he doesn't have really the big, broad recruitment plan. He's very reactive. If you dangle something in front of him, he'll go, yep, come and work. Now, it's a great company to work for because they do some great stuff, but it's a bit more reactive than me. I'm a bit more like focused, been in business a lot longer. I'm a bit more focused about the next role and what we're focusing on and what we're growing and having a few things going. But that's a good example of somebody you could direct message, and you guys will do work for that brand. And somebody just messaged him on LinkedIn last week and said, I can do blah, 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 blah. He's like, write me this, 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 and this. And then he was just about to hire them. And I was like, stop. You haven't been through a recruitment process. And potentially that person, while they may have been great, was being set up for failure because the infrastructure wasn't in place for that person to walk in, because they would have walked in the door and gone, there's no website, there's no Facebook page, nothing's organised, there's not even a computer for me to sit and work at. And so I'm like, all right, stop, because I know that's a great person, but where are they going to sit? What are they going to work on? How are they going to do? Have you got the equipment? So there's the infrastructure is not in place. If you use us as an example, you could do a search on best practice, and you could search best practice marketing, and you would get Zach. These guys maybe haven't touched their LinkedIn yet, but you would get Zach, you would get Emily, you would get Amy, you would get Luke, you would get Vanessa, you would get Caitlin, you would get Alexi, and you go, oh, actually, hang on a minute, there's a team. And then you go look at them, and you go, actually, I'll have a look at best practice. Oh my God, there's this Kobi guy that posts heaps of stuff. Can I get to him? Try a direct message, or comment on a post, or I really liked that post. If you comment, because we look at all the comments. If you liked a post, why? Because we don't have a huge following. And so most organisations have got a smaller following than us. Some have got more. If you commented on his Instagram page, would you see the comment? Do you read all the comments? Yeah. So even if you can't direct message them, start commenting, and they're going to see you. And they're going to go, the more you comment, the more they'll see you. I've heard this said before, and I think it makes sense. We try to formalise it and make sure there's reciprocity, but we've probably got one of the most formal intern programs that I've ever seen in terms of actually deploying value, and I'm conscious of that. I want to make sure interns who do work here get more value than we extract, like that, and customers, I want to give them more value than we extract, and suppliers, I want to give them more value than we extract. That's how I work. That's how I do things, So if you go back to best practice, you're starting at the bottom. You want to reach out to best practice. You could message everybody. Hey, I really love everything that's going on best practice. I want to join the team. What do you guys value? How do I get in the door? How do I get in the door? Who do I need to talk to get in the door? But talk to everybody. You've got to hedge your bets. Like, it's not just one message. Oh, I didn't get a response. Persistence. Find the address around there. Go check it out. Do you really want to be there? And so that's assuming you've got nothing else to do. You've got no role. $1.50 for a bus ticket. It's probably $10 now. I don't know what a bus costs. And I get that right now in the crisis that's a little different, but it is definitely looking at social channels, predicated on business, marketing, those kind of things. But same applies for hospitality. If there's a restaurant in a particular place or a coffee shop, you go down there and say, you've got any jobs going? Same applies. So when you're starting at the bottom, I don't think it would be very difficult to figure out that Vanessa runs this team. In fact, what's your LinkedIn title? Team leader. So, and the other thing too is people sometimes comment, I messaged such and such and they didn't reply. There's no empathy around how busy the person is. Like, you guys see how busy I am, and we're not even busy right now. Like, how busy we are is nothing compared to running for 6 months ago. Like, running between meetings and having conversation with Caitlin, cut all my meetings down to 15 minutes so I could be in 4 times more meetings. So, and I miss them all the time. So that's how you get into the bottom is try to talk to as many people in the team as possible. So it starts with just eggs in one basket. It's not just one organisation. It's 5 or 10, and then it's all the people at that organisation. That's creepy. That'll help. bit of. What about you guys? Anything I said that like you guys have more questions on, or that was helpful?
I guess I like still like the first thing if I'm looking for a new role would be like seek or as opposed to like connecting or indirectly.
Yeah. Yeah. So
For the future.
the way we work as a business is we do a whole bunch of organic work, like we're doing websites, all that kind of stuff. And we, when people are searching, they find us. But the most profitable work that we win is the work that we go and get. Roles that you go to get by actually identifying a company and going out to the company. And people, obviously, don't get me wrong, people aren't really like themselves because of course, like roles, you get a lot of rubbish. Did you come in via Seek or a job board? LinkedIn. So I think LinkedIn is really interesting right now because it's starting to get some traction. I got a notification. I've been on LinkedIn for 15 years. About 2 weeks ago. So they've been trying for that long, and it's only like 2 or 3 years ago they were bought by Microsoft. They're trying to be a search engine. They're trying to be a social platform. They will succeed because they're backed by Microsoft. So those are really interesting aspects of that particular platform. They're trying to be Twitter. They're trying to be a corporate version of Instagram. They've got a business overlay. It's interesting. So, where did you guys see the ads for the intern program? Jora. Yeah, so we Jora, Pedestrian TV, some of the Northern Beaches Facebook boards, North Shore Facebook boards. Yeah.
Someone works for Max Media Lab, Max Captures, and she says that anytime they're looking for like work experience or internships, they just quote the Instagram story because
the people following them.
They'll be following it, and then like B then also gets an idea about the person they are.
Exactly right. So we're not there yet with that because we haven't sort of built up that following yet, but that's absolutely where we're going.
Yeah.
We're not, so there's this lab of experiments happening inside this business at the moment to grow our own brands. Like there's enough brands here and enough revenue that we don't need to be an agency and choose that as a revenue path. That'll happen in our future, but we got to feed this beast behind these walls. Outside these walls, it's going bang crash all day. We've got to feed that beast. That's the next thing. We've got to feed this beast, which is 52 people. Although it's quiet in this office, this is because of COVID, we've shrunk down. But this represents we're 52 families, 52 people, 52 households, plus you guys doing internships. So, it's got a very small footprint, huge digital footprint, but small physical footprint. The business on the other side of these walls has an enormous footprint, an enormous consumer of steel and paint and all that sort of stuff, and people and labour, but small digital footprint. So they have used social media to try to attract people, basically, because they only really deal with 4 or 5 customers a year. We deal with thousands of customers. So I think Seek still has a place, and a lot of the job boards have a place. But if you really want something, then you'll go. You won't just sit there and wait for job ads to come up. I'm going to actually go get myself a job, and that's why I think that person who's put a post up, I'm going to put it out there that I'm available.
Like people look down on Seek so much more now than initially, obviously.
Yeah.
With everything that's come out, but I don't know, like. Before I came here, I was looking up on Seek and all that, and people, sort of shaking their heads at me and all that kind of thing. I feel like they've maybe lost credibility or something to an extent. Maybe credibility is not the right word, but
I agree. I think Seek and some of those other job boards have lost credibility because the tech guys behind them have made it too easy. So the thing that really frustrates me is people just sit there all day, submit CV, click a box, submit. They don't even do any research. They don't even go, what's the company? They just look at the title. They might read, like, 10 lines of bullet points and submit. Some of them don't even read that. So and then we'll be like, oh, that CV looks all right, let's get them in for an interview. What do you know about best practice? Oh, nothing. Did you go on the website? No. Did you look at any of our social media? No. You know, I'm like, wouldn't you look at that stuff? So then we started doing phone interviews. We're like, all right, let's do a phone interview. And the first thing we're going to ask them. So here's some advice for everybody who's watching this. If you're applying for roles and you're making a submission, before you make your submission, go on the website, go on their Facebook page, go on their Instagram page, go on their LinkedIn page, go stalk all of the senior managers of the company, find all their stuff on social media, then submit. Because one of the first questions, if they're a good employer, they're going to be is like, what do you know about us? What do we sell? What do we do? What are our products? What are our services? Who are our customers? What do you think the role's about? Why do you want to work here? One of the most common interview questions now is, why do you want this role? Don't say, because I need money. Like, it's not going to work. Yeah. What else? So what are the action points? What are you going to do? So from what I've said today and this week, what are your takeaways?
Well, I've continued, I've been posting once a week for the past 7 weeks or so on LinkedIn. So the aim is to obviously try and keep that up and then ramp it up as best as I can. But I'm trying to network with fellow marketers and all that as much as I can, just as much as I can engage. I think engaging is probably the big thing, and the most common thing that I think I come across on LinkedIn and all these posts is that anybody can write in nice post, thanks for sharing, which is good and all, but to actually come away and put something insightful and something that will make someone go, okay, well, he's made a fair point, maybe he knows something, maybe I should talk to him, something like that. So I think that's the point that I need to get to. Something that I'm developing myself a little bit more is just to come in with a bit more depth or a bit more juice in terms of what I bring to the table, just from that point.
Yeah, awesome. I mean, a great hack if you're struggling is ask a question.
Yeah.
So instead of commenting, I agree, or instead of great post or something insightful, just ask a question. Yeah. Just say, hey, ask another question, because then you can bait the author to say something. And so if you've got ask for something further on that particular post is a great way to do it. I'm going to start doing that.